All right. Cool. Here we go. I don't think that I'll be able to take notes, but we probably don't have too many notes to take. Anyways, if we are recording, that should be okay anyways. So, oop, let me just check. Winverse, are we recording? Yeah, it looks like we're recording. Winverse has got Craig back up. Okay, cool. Um, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? No, she. There we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's August 14th. Um, on the leg metric side, we have 696 transaction volume last week, so plus 550. And on the lead metric side, we have 0 new users, 3 communities deployed, 8 returning users, and 0 new money in the multi-sigs. I'll be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, and Anna Thinker will be leading the all hands. Um, yeah, so I may show up in the second week, but not the first week because I'll be in the middle of the forest. From milestone perspective, and we're aiming to create revenue. We have 100. We're aiming to get 1,000 weekly transacting users. Compliance issues. Transcard said that they're going to fix this for me. I kind of bugged them on Monday. Hopefully, I'll be able to like polish this off uh, tomorrow and the next day, as I have a little bit of time set aside for it. The Nouns card is now ungated, so anyone can sign up. I've been asking Nouners while I've been here which they would rather accumulate, nouns or nogs, and they all say nouns. So that's something for us to note, and maybe something for us to talk about with you and a thinker as well, because we were thinking of changing the nogs rewards to nouns rewards. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I saw that message and I was getting a response there. I know Dom has been unresponsive recently. We do still have the Nogs in existence, which we need to figure out what to do with if we do start giving away nouns. The first thought that came to mind was give away Nogs and then use the proceeds to purchase nouns to allocate those as well. So do a double until we run out of Nogs.
Yep, that
The
makes sense.
problem there is that we've kind of been given those Nogs on good faith that we would buy back Nogs as we went. So I would like to run it by Dom and let him know what our plans are specifically and see what he says. But we should come up with some plans and some options before we do that.
So the 3 options we talked about was one, replace noun like nogs with nouns. 2, um, have 2 communities. So nogs, a nogs like a nouns card with like, and you earn nogs, and a nouns card and you earn nouns. That's another option. And I forget what our third option was. Well, I guess like accumulating both nouns and nogs could be a third option.
Yeah, yeah. So um, that having the two different programs might be viable if we were to say, okay, you can get the physical card with the noggles on it, and then you choose between nouns or nogs, because nouns card holders can choose between any community anyway directly
Yes.
within the app. So just let them be choose nouns as their reward token. I don't see why that would be a problem, and then just give them the opportunity to order the physical card. um, Nogs or NS, they haven't paid anything for that physical card, so it's not like we owe it to them to only send that out to Nogs earners. I think that could be a good neutral way forward.
Cool. All right. I also removed some image flickering from the main splash screen. The cards still will probably flicker in live, but not on production. So the next time we do a production release, the flickering will be removed. On the rewards flow, we had no progress. On the physical card flow, we had no progress, and I did close some support tickets as well. In terms of our content funnel, community funnel, 200K grants, and deploying our new brand. Anything we want to say for those before we move on to the discussion?
Just real quickly, I know
With
that.
regards
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that we did get rejected for Gitcoin GR21. I don't know any specific reason why. There was none listed. We can contact them, but we did not make it in.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I was just gonna say for the content stuff. So just posting on the socials. I know that March is working on the getting the subscriber thing, so we'll get that out this week. Which will be announcing Origin DAO. Almost said Blue Origin. Origin DAO. And then I know Rainus is working on some videos as well. So
Great.
No, that's Andy. But
All
yeah,
right.
Andy has been actively generating ideas and making videos, short videos to post. So you can check the newest video he posted in social share, and we did a script for another one today for a noun specific video.
sweet.
Yeah, but, just a side note, I didn't know you can't edit the tweet after you posted it, so I couldn't really tag anyone. Like I wanted to, upload the video and maybe later just find out if I need to tag anyone, but it's impossible unless you
You
have
can delete the tweet if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you can
Well,
delete the tweet, and you can also, if you needed to add like tags or something, you can add it like a comment.
well, shouldn't delete the tweet. Maybe I can just like tag them in the comments,
Yeah,
or
you can
or
do that. Yeah, you can do that, or you can delete the tweet. I've done that before where I've had to delete it.
I just don't know anything about like algorithm on Twitter. Like, what do you think, guys? Should I repost it or
Repost it.
whatever?
It's
Repost it?
not like we don't have a huge following on X, so it's not like we're gonna
Well,
yeah,
I mean, it's the biggest platform we have, I think. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so is the caption okay? I just do the same caption and tag the the them the DAOs that we mentioned, right?
I didn't look at the caption, but I can look at
Just
it, let me look at it right now while we're talking.
yeah, and I will tag nouns, origin, and pull together as Rainus mentioned.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I will skip the task perspective and what did we ship, and let's have a little discussion on long-term thinking that we started last week. So I think I mentioned it before that startups typically have like kind of a big ambitious vision, and at the same time, most startups die from lack of focus. This is something that has also been recently spoken about on Farcaster. I think the challenge when you have an organization like ours is how do you balance that long-term, ambitious, really difficult to achieve vision with short-term focus? Because if you just try to aim directly for that long-term thing, um, you're gonna end up in a place where you can't really fulfill it. You have to like chart a path towards that long-term vision. So I wanted to take some time because one of my sustainable mantras is think long-term, act today. So what I want to do is just go around the room and ask, what is BCard in the long term to you? What could it be? What might it be? And relating to that, like if that's the goal, what should we focus on today? Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
All right. So let's see who we got here. All right. So first on my screen, Arkisti, why don't you share your answers? Have you thought about this?
Well, so yeah, I mean, I still kind of feel strongly about the community value on the card, and maybe even like kind of thinking about things where it's not like necessarily the financial accumulation on the community. And like one thing that I was just thinking about, like you mentioned, your idea about Black Flag in the BDAO meeting, where there would be possibly a token that you would earn by staking that would then be used to determine the value of that card. Like, so I could see like this being another way of earning like something like that Black Flag token as another way like to complement the staking that you're doing to give you votes on how that money is used. Even though there's might never be any market for the token itself, because I could definitely see that as a use.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I see there's like I could see that applying in a lot of places and in other communities for something similar.
Yeah, I was talking with someone about it as well. That the idea of getting token in people's hands in a really easy way. This
Mhm.
this it seems like something that's so simple, but this thing is really it really is kind of like the next generation of community in some way. When you get token into people's hands, it somehow creates alignment between you and that person, and it's why airdrops worked in the first place. I think like now that we have so many airdrop farmers, it's not so cut and dry, but I still think it's possible that you get some of that from the community. So yeah, that's great. So long term, it's more about exploring these different kinds of other ways of community to support communities, not just through financialization.
But like in terms of like distributing and accumulating, it's I think a key difference between that between an airdrop and like using a card and the spend on a card is that's like something that's ongoing.
Yes.
And there's it's a continuous distribution, not necessarily like a drip, but kind of more similar to that than like a one-time airdrop.
Yes, absolutely. Like you have to continue re-upping your commitment by making transactions.
Yep.
All right, great. Rainus, do you have anything to say on this topic? On the topic of long-term and what we need to be doing today?
Yes, I do. Well, starting with the long term, my personal vision for BCard is what I would want it to be. As selfish as that sounds, but that's the best way I can put it. I've always seen BCard as a tool, a financial instrument in which communities can organize around and be able to add the financial element to them. So, in the long term, I see BCard as an option for every community to take and quickly and easily set up token distribution, voting, and self-funding. That's how I see it. Like, because I would like personally, I would have so much use for that kind of a tool in other communities that I'm operating in, and yeah, that's kind of like the user journey would be for a community. It would be easy to sign up, set up, mark the check marks that are required, set up token, and be able to have their own card and distribute that token amongst each other. So like that would
Yep.
be the flow that would feel ideal for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, right? Like I think like eventually we can get there as well. Like I think like that idea of bridging the Web3 gap, the gap, the UX gap between Web3 and the real world, it really lends itself to the use case that you're talking about, right? Like what if you could start a community and like a tokenized community very easily. And it's not just because it's tokenized, right? Like I'll give an example. My wife is on a social committee at work, and they get a budget. And typically the chair just holds it, but she's the chair. She didn't want to hold the money, and she was just like, "I'd rather put it in a business bank account." She looked into it, not possible, right? Like it's just
Mm. Yep.
not possible to do that in an easy way. Like she would have to get like a not-for-profit status. She would have to spend more money than their budget is on legal issues. But I mean, if our tool was set up properly, she could really just set it up in BCard, get an account, and maybe even create a multi-sig around it, and then boom, you're off to the races at that point, right? So
Yep,
I
the option to
certainly,
create a multi-sig for community leaders is also a very good idea, I think.
yeah. So
Like
I
combining
definitely go ahead.
combining like the elements of Gnosis Safe, BCard Financial Instrument, and Aragon DAO setup into one would be like the Avengers Thanos putting all the Infinity Stones together, in my view.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in terms of what we can today, we were talking with Ovsky, and this we like, because you remember Links last week we had a discussion and about what's currently important and which direction we can get most results in, and the conclusion was adding new communities and pushing on marketing in within the existing communities. And so I took my view on it to what I am doing right now and to what the communication team is doing. And like Coffee is posting on socials, managing campaigns, and he's creating videos, March is writing emails. And I didn't find a place there for me right now because it's working very effectively. And I don't know, like, I think that those elements are very well formed right now, and it's working effectively. And so I talked to Olki, and last week Links mentioned about the community adding part, and I wanted to say to NF Thinker, NF, me and Olki are ready to give you extra hands on helping add new communities. We want to see how that works, what's needed, what are the processes, and try to get more communities signed up for BCard. That's what I see we can do today, and that's an area where I feel like we uh, can use extra attention on. I don't know how does it feel, how does it sound, but if it's yes, let's go, then we are ready.
Hello, dude. All right, that sounds great.
Cool.
Amazing. We'll be
All
in
right.
touch.
So we're coming up a little bit closer to the end of time, so I'm going to ask for volunteers now. Anyone want to share their long-term and short-term visions?
Yeah. So, as someone who was involved in this from the very beginning, what the vision was then versus what the vision is now, I wouldn't say it has varied much in the sense that we didn't necessarily have a set roadmap. I think the biggest internal conflict that I'm facing right now is I feel like we're putting out a product that people aren't using, and that can just be found in the new user count and the usage we're getting from our existing users. They're not defaulting to this card as their default spending card. We run some calculations. Most people are going to be spending anywhere between, in America anyway, $1,000 to $2,000 a month on a card. So why aren't you using this card specifically? There's a number of different things that we can point to. How difficult is it to load cards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we are not currently developing a product that people want to use. And why is that? Maybe it doesn't have the features that they want. Maybe it doesn't have the rewards that they want. Tokens are all down bad. You know, if you look at the markets, let's just go from, say, the degen peak that was happening back in February, March, and everybody was super hyped, and the markets were market cap of you know, multi-millions, hundreds of millions, and now, you know, a lot of these shit tokens have like $10,000 liquidity, and you're like, okay, what's the actual point of this? So I feel like we need to what we really need to do is what we're doing right now is good. Look at that long-term roadmap, the long-term goal. What is it we're trying to produce? And then distill that into actual functional things that are not only that we can do today, but things that we have the capability of doing today. For me, most recently, the thing that's been bouncing around my head is that BCard makes a great bridge between fiat to crypto. And the roadblock we're facing is lack of regulations in America. So we have people who want to easily move money, and I've had a few different people ask me this, you know, what's the best way to get money from crypto to fiat? What's the best way to get money from fiat to crypto? I would love to say BCard. You just load money onto your BCard, and then you send it to your connected account. Bing, bang, boom, not a problem. But we have regulatory issues around that. Therefore, we're not able to provide what we would like to provide. So what is it we can provide is incentive for people to use the ecosystem with an additional tool set inside the app. These are things that we wanted to provide earlier. We talked about education. We talked about, you know, this is all about teaching people how to safely use Web3, how to provide a waiting pool so people can come in and experience DeFi in a safe way, so eventually they can go out and swim with the sharks. Well, so far, we haven't done much or any of that. There's no education platform. There's no push to provide education. And I certainly don't want to point fingers. If anyone's to blame, it's as much me as anyone else. There's a whole suite of tools out there that exist for DeFi users. That is what we're here for. We're here to be our own banks. We're here to access yield generation that we wouldn't otherwise get in other places. And again, it comes back to regulations. What is it that we actually can provide without losing our banking partners that we currently have? So what I would love to see is a little more expansion in what it is that we want to offer as a product as a whole, so we can actually incentivize our existing user base to use the product. And when I say existing user base, I would imagine 95%, if not more, of our users are existing crypto users. They're people who they've already got a bank account, so they don't necessarily want a second bank account. They know how to get money from their bank account into their crypto device or into their crypto wallet. So what they really want to access is tools that can give them access to the greater, wider world of DeFi. And so we originally talked about governance, providing an easy governance platform. So maybe have like a snapshot plugin or something like that where people can go in and access and see, hey, I've got these tokens. What do I do with them? Things like points programs. And this is something that we slightly touched on with TravelSwap. They're creating a robust points program, which is incentivizing people from various chains to try out other chains and try out other products. That's what in my mind, that's what these points systems are all about, is it's incentivizing use and incentivizing growth of a platform. And then DeFi as a whole. What is it that you can do with DeFi, and how can you begin to access some of that stuff via the BCard app? Now, we're at this very starting gate right now. We have the basics in place. You can load funds, you can spend funds, but beyond that, the crypto integrations are pretty much on a user level, pretty much none. You can claim rewards, and that's about it. So what I would love to start seeing is more crypto integration to be able to service our existing user base, because those are the people who are going to test out the tools that incentivize new non-crypto users to come in and say, oh, this is a really easy way to access DeFi, or an easy way to access my community. Yes, to touch on Rainis's idea of allowing token generation, that's something that we can definitely build in. It's not something that a general user is going to use on a daily basis. Token management, maybe in terms of distribution, but token generation, a user of a community might generate a token in a year or every 2 years. Really active people might do it 3, 4, 5 times a year, but it's not something that's going to bring them back on a daily basis to use the app. So that would be my main ask, is to see more crypto integration and usability on that wallet front. What is it we can do with our existing tokens and our rewards?
Cool. Yeah, and I think it comes back to something I've been saying over the last couple of weeks. To find product market fit, we really need to there are 3 kind of things on the balancing scale: which market we're serving, and we have kind of like a broad strokes of that, but we really need to figure that out further. Like specifically which communities we're serving and which members of communities we're serving. So that's like kind of one side of the pyramid. What value we are delivering to them? What can we do better than no one else? What can we provide to people for in that target? And then finally, how are we providing that value to them? What kind of distribution mechanism in terms of how they learn about us, in terms of how they actually access the value that we give them? That's kind of the stage that we're in right now. We're in that kind of build for fit phase. And those are the 3 questions that we kind of have to answer using our product. So who we're serving, what we're serving them, and how we're serving them. So that goes to, I think, some of the things that you're saying at a thinker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And who we're serving now versus who we want to serve in the future are definitely 2 different demographics.
Yes, absolutely. And we need to, I think, when we think long-term act today, we need to go backwards from that long-term into projecting into our present day. Because it's true that we may not be able to serve the people who we want to serve long-term, but whoever we're serving short-term needs to be a stepping stone to that long-term. All right. I'll share mine since we're a bit over. I'll share mine. I'll try to do it quickly. I think that the macro level on crypto right now, the way that I put it recently is, it's not that we're trying to eliminate banks. I think what's really going to happen, or the end game for crypto, is going to be to usher in the next generation of banks. And what I mean by that is banks that like our current banks right now, they have way too much control. It's really shifted in the balance of those banks. Every year you're getting less service for more price. Every year they're kind of taking more and more, and they're not really making things better for the user. So I think crypto allows us to have a tipping point where we have these kind of new banks which are more aligned with user interests, have more to offer in terms of what they're able to do, and can do it at a lower price. These are all things that the new technology enables. And so when I think about these organizations like Coinbase and some of these other large crypto organizations, what I see for the long-term future, I'm not saying this is going to be even 5 years. It might not even be 10 years. It could be 20 years. What I see in the long-term future is eventually they're going to be the ones who are saying here's a new kind of bank using these crypto rails, and hey, it's cheaper, and hey, there's more options for users, and hey, by the way, users like it way better. And that's going to force a bunch of other banks to adopt this kind of crypto situation. And so for us, in this kind of world of the future, it's all about the audiences that you hold, that audiences that trust you, that are like when you're no longer the only game in town, you have to worry about that audience. Okay, and so this is what I'm thinking about long term. I see BCard as it potentially could be like a specialized banking system for a certain subset of people. It could be like a full suite of tools that allow you to do all the banking you would normally do in the real world, but it's just way better because you have more options, it's cheaper, and it's more aligned with your values. And so I think like projecting backwards from that, I really think it's around like banking for communities in some ways, financial instruments, financial tools for these communities, and projecting it back even further to where we are today. I think like the short-term goal is we really need to dig deeper into some specific communities as well as iterate on a couple of different communities. First of all, like I think we've said it a couple times before, we're just not doing enough with Nouns, right? Like Nouns is a fully functional program. It is like the most complete program that we have and that we're gonna have in the near future. We really, and it's also probably the most active DAO right now in the space, right? It's the most resilient, most active DAO in the space. We just need to figure out how to make it work for them, even if it's not necessarily something that can scale to, let's say hundreds of other communities. We really need to figure out how to make this be an attractive, interesting product for Nouners. So that's something that we can do today. And the second thing we can do is explore different types of communities and see, are there other communities that have more affinity to BCard than others? Are there certain types of communities and members of communities that we can do that we can kind of get up on this card to see? So I think like in general, there's lots of reasons why Noun hasn't had a lot of uptake. I would say that like we have to deal with some of those reasons. I could list some of those reasons right now. I don't think it's really worth it. We don't have a ton of time to get into them, but we need to really focus up on this Nouns community. And then second thing we need to do is start adding new communities and gathering that feedback. So ultimately, to get to that long-term future of really empowering communities with financial tools and making it easier for communities to operate using these new technologies that exist, we really have to understand more deeply the problems these communities are facing and provide that value to them in a way that solves their problems easily, understandably, and all this other kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
All right, team. I do gotta go, unfortunately. Thank you so much for sharing. I do think that it's a great practice to just think about that, projecting, like thinking about your long term and then projecting backwards onto today. So if you get a chance, certainly think about it. And you don't have to wait until the community call to share it. Just go ahead and share it in the Discord if you like. I think that it is it's a good practice I use in more than just my professional life. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for spending a little time for thinking about it for BCard as well, because I think that that's important for us to do. And so I appreciate if it's just me doing it, it's less likely to be good. So the more of us doing it, the better. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Lynx.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.